When our next guest was young, he loved watching Sea Hunt and the Silent World of Jacques Cousteau. In fact, it inspired him so much that he spent his career traveling all over the world filming life under the sea. Here with more on his travels and to tell us about his latest documentary, Showdown at Tiger Beach, is Paul Cater Deaton. Hello there.
Hi there, Deborah. How are you?
Good. All right. The ocean is so fascinating, I think, to absolutely everybody. But how does a young boy who's on a ranch in Crosby, Texas, get to the ocean?
Well, let's see. You go to I-10 and take a look. No, when I was about 6 years old, a little cowboy growing up in Crosby on a ranch, it was 1959. I'll give you a second to do the math, y'all.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm that old. I was watching one of my favorite shows, which was Sea Hunt with Lloyd Bridges, and his character, Mike Nelson, had gotten into a fight underwater with a bad guy. I know, I was surprised too. And the bad guy busts out the guy's mask, Mike Nelson's mask with the butt end of a spear gun, and so his mask was no good, but he grabbed the bad guy's mask, put it on his head, cut the guy's air hose, and the guy was out of there. And I thought, well, you know, why put that on your head? It's got water in it, you ain't gonna be able to see a thing. So what he did, he tipped his head back, tilted up the bottom of the mask, blew air out of his nose, and it cleared. And I was like,
that's amazing.
I just wonder if that'd work. And so I ran off to the nearest body of water, true story, absolutely true, against the protestations of my mother, and jumped into it. And it was a cattle trough about 20 by 20 and 3 feet deep. And I grabbed a mask and jumped into it, and into this delightful blend of branch water and cow spit, removed the mask, flooded it, and tipped my head up, tilted up the bottom of the mask, blew air out of my nose, and sure enough, there went the, yeah, and I was like, we'll just be dipped. And who knew that that innocent little moment in time would lead to a life of adventure that I could not have imagined as a 6-year-old little cowboy growing up in Texas.
Do you remember your very first time at the ocean? Because I remember I was living in Taipei, Taiwan, and my mom said, we're going to the ocean. I was like, what's an ocean? And we went, and it was the most magnificent thing. At the same time that I was so drawn to it and loved it, I also feared it. Because that massive body of water and what lies beneath.
Right. Or like Chuck Yeager says, the fear of the unknown. Yeah, I get that a lot. The first time we went to the ocean, it was in Galveston, where I live now, and I would not get under it for a good long time to come. But we spent a lot of time kind of bobbing on the surface with masks and so forth, and it just fascinates me end.
I'm fascinated by what we're looking at right here. You filmed on 6 different continents, and of course what you see around the world is just this ecosystem and the environment and evolution of animals, and sometimes not the evolution of animals, right? But, so it's so amazing what's in the ocean. In fact, a lot of people might not realize that most of the world is really underwater.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so
like some 7/10.
With these underwater film shoots, that's a whole nother level of production, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the same principles apply underwater that do topside. Lighting, camera motion. The cool thing about being a cameraman underwater is that you are your own jib arm or camera crane or whatever like that. You have almost unrestricted range of motion.
And look at all, there's the big animals that you see, but then there's these little bitty things, these little creatures in the sea that you can film as well. We can get up close and personal with things that most of us will never see.
Yeah.
Your new documentary short is Showdown at Tiger Beach.
Yes.
What is that about?
It's a 10-minute documentary about diving with tiger sharks at a place called Tiger Beach, which is about 25 miles off the coast of Grand Bahama. And I went there a couple of years ago with Joe Romero and the people from Epic Diving. And if you watch Shark Week, you're going to see Joe Romero all over it. He and Greg Scommel, another good friend and colleague, are a very heavy presence on Shark Week. Yeah. And Joe, there just isn't a finer underwater cameraman than Joe.
Snapped at him, didn't he?
A bit, yeah.
Well, and the reason why you do this, you love sharks. You appreciate what they are.
Absolutely.
And you are part of a conservation effort, because so many people fear sharks, and we hear a story every now and then. But the fact of the matter is, sharks are not quite as dangerous as we think they are. Like many animals in the wild, you get up in their face and they're going to deal with you.
Right, yeah. Sure. They're not the, well, as you can see here, Vinny's kind of like petting these guys.
Here,
And
Sharky, Sharky.
I ended this film with a scene of a shark coming by and getting his little piece of mahi-mahi carcass. And then he looks like he turns to Vinny to get his little head scratched. It's like, oh, who's a cute little apex predator, you know? And I ended the film with that shot on purpose because they're not just out to get you, oh boy, human.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not Jaws or Megalodon.
No, and even Jaws and Megalodon. I've been underwater with great whites. I was in a cage, but there are people who shoot them. They wouldn't let me out of the cage.
Yeah, well, there's 100 million sharks killed every year by humans.
Yeah, mostly because of the fact that shark fin soup is a big delicacy, and it means that it like good luck at a wedding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it throws the entire ecosystem out of kilter, and is a huge threat, more than people know.
Yeah.
So, you know, Google it, y'all.
What part of the ocean would you like to go to if you had no restrictions whatsoever?
Oh gosh, where to begin?
Like for me, it's the Marianas Trench, but we can't really quite get down there yet, can we?
Yeah, unless
like
you're,
the deepest part
unless
of
you're
the
James
Earth.
Cameron. I like the Coral Triangle a lot. I'm hopefully going back to the Solomon Islands pretty soon. I was there in '06, fell in love with the place. Been to the Philippines several times, and I just love that whole area.
Yeah.
That's where all the undersea life was squeezed in during the last ice age, and from whence it all sprung back after things started thawing off. So it's the biggest proliferation of undersea life and variations.
It's crazy.
In
What
the
thrills
world.
me is the opportunity to go see something new every time, a different animal every time that
There
you
you
didn't know
go.
existed, right?
Right, exactly. Like nudibranchs, which are these little, they're frilly little tiny creatures. Nudibranch is basically Latin for naked lung. They're like a snail that lives underwater. And they look like the frilly Christmas candies of our youth, you know.
Yeah.
And they're finding new.
And then how they adapt to the environment, like in the Marianas Trench, which is like, what is that, the deepest part of the ocean, or
I
deepest
believe
part
it is, yeah.
in the world, that they know that the animals actually kind of glow in the dark because it's
Yes.
it's pitch dark down there.
Yeah,
So
bioluminescence.
So it's totally amazing, and thank you for bringing us all these wonderful pictures.
And thank you for having me. Very gracious of you. Thanks.
All right, for more information on Paul's work, you can log on to our site, greatdayhouston.com.